Before we begin, we'd like to take a moment to send our thoughts to all those affected by the vicious attacks in Las Vegas. I'm Steven Dolan from TUFF League TV, and welcome to TUFF Total Access. This officially marks the end of the 2017 summer season, and so our off-season content begins. On this episode, we will be breaking down all the action from Sunday, talking free agency, the TUFF 9 tournament, and the start of the fall season. There was an insane Sunday of football this season, and I was out at the field catching all the action firsthand. 6 games resulted in 2 champions, and it also resulted in the winner of our playoff prediction contest. Congratulations to Evan Villasenor, who picked 5 out of 6 games correctly, only missing the Spartan Cup winner. Evan will receive $40 off his next season player fee. Speaking of the Spartan Cup, we had 2 games between the best Spartan teams that resulted in a showdown between a high-powered offense and a staunch defense. First, we had the Aztecs versus the Marshals. Brian Anderson and his team came in hot on defense with a pick 6 on the first drive of the game. Tom Natoli and the Marshals came right back, though, and ultimately took down the receiving corps led by Jason Overstreet, who may be featured in an upcoming free agency segment. We had a chance to catch up with quarterback of the Aztecs, Brian Anderson, after the game. So I'm out here after the Aztecs' most recent game, the Van Nuys Spartan Conference Championship. The Aztecs took a tough loss to the Marshals. I'm here with Brian Anderson. How you feeling right now?
Not too good. It hurts, obviously, going into conference finals for 3rd year in a row, but not coming out with the win. A little bruised up from that, yeah.
Definitely. I mean, it's tough to come out here, put your heart and soul into these games, and unfortunately not come out with the win. But your team still looks like they're gelling really well. What are your thoughts right now on next season?
Right now, for next season, we still have a core team coming out every season. We're close on the field and off the field. But we have a good core right now. We're coming back. We're going to come back every season. But for right now, we're going to talk about it.
Well, one player that was missing from today's game, if I'm not mistaken, you can correct me if I'm wrong, was Justin Herring. And Peter Markham were both missing. I mean, with those 2 players, it could have been a different story. Did you feel that their presence was missed today?
Very missed. With them two, they're core linebackers, core blockers. They're pretty much the soul and guts of this team, and missing them puts a big void in our offense and defense. And you could tell when it comes to playing good teams, and when we're together on the full, there's no telling what we could do.
Well, we hope to see you guys back next season. Thank you so much for speaking to me after that loss. I really appreciate it. Have a good night and enjoy the game. We hope to see the Aztecs back next season. And for the Mid-City Conference, we witnessed the Swordfish take on the Cheetahs. Frank Mastamoro was on the sideline doing his best to help coach and support his team, but it would not be enough. Katrina Nicholson had a sack on Zeigenhorn within the first 10 minutes of the game, and the Swordfish swam to a victory. This brings us to the Spartan Cup, and the word of the day was hands. The Marshals had multiple opportunities to stick in this game, but it seemed that drop passes would plague this team throughout the game. Throw in massive pass rush from the Swordfish, a pick by John Caker, and just overall dominance on both sides of the ball, and you end up with a Swordfish Spartan Cup. After coming down from Titan, the Swordfish proved themselves to be contenders in the Spartan division. They went 7-1 on the regular season, and from what I could tell, they had a blast on their way to the big win. The competition at this point was taken to a new level as the Titan teams took the field. Mid-City put on a show with the Tide versus the Ducks. Joey De La Torre and his team were on point in this one, and it was back and forth and came down to the end of the game, but the Tide proved to be too much for them. Billy Hudson and his team proved that their championship last season was no fluke and moved on to the TUFF Cup. This was a great game, but across the field, another electric game was taking place. The Phantoms faced off with the Blue Fire, and it was as good as advertised. Win McEloney could be seen before this game, screaming like a madman and running down the sideline, rallying his team, and that enthusiasm showed in their game. The Blue Fire, led by Chris Scarlotta and Hunter Garner, proved to be just a step behind Jake Purdy and the Phantoms, while he led his team to victory. Will Scarlotta be back next season, or is this it for the grizzled veteran? All of the craziness led up to the main event, the TUFF Cup. The Phantoms versus Tide here in what would be a game of 2 halves. Jake Purdy and his receivers would come out firing with their Chip Kelly-style fast-paced offense, and Derek Wallace was the story of the first drive as they jumped out to an early lead. This would go on through the first half, and John Austin would help lead his team into the first half end with the lead. Billy Hudson and the Tide stayed in it, though, being careful to stay within arm's reach of the Phantoms. Randy Borer and Corey Thorell would be difference makers for him throughout the game. Then came the second half and an amazing trick play where Hudson would lateral to Borer and then receive a pass into the end zone back from him. This play changed the momentum of the game. Then with 2 minutes left, Lester Thomas would make a rare interception of Jake Purdy, and that would be all she wrote as the Tide rolled to a 3-touchdown lead and the victory. This game was hard fought by both teams and was well-deserved title defense by the Tide. Immediately after the game, I was able to snag Big Surge, quarterback of the Savages, who was a ref in the game. So the Tide win the TUFF Cup Championship. One of the referees for this game was Savages quarterback Sergio Mariscal. Sergio, what did you think of this game?
I thought it would have been better if we were in it. No, I'm just kidding. It was a really great game between two really good teams who deserve to be here. At the end of the day, Tide just make more plays. They made plays on offense and defense that just kind of put the game away late. It was close the whole time, but at the end of the game, it was pretty obvious who was going to win it.
Yeah, I mean, the Phantoms came out on fire. The Tide was not ready for their pace of play, but looks like they adjusted. I mean, who do you think, if it was your opinion, who do you think MVP was?
For the Tide, there's a whole bunch of guys over there, but usually it starts with the quarterback. So I'm going to say Billy did a really good job of keeping his team poised, keeping them in it, and they got away with a big victory. They're back-to-back, man, so congratulations to them.
All right, thank you so much for speaking to me. It's a bummer that the Savages weren't in it, but we look to see them next year in it.
And good thing this season's coming around quick, brother. We'll be back.
Also through the Celebration Madness, I was able to grab an interview with Randy Borer from the Tide. The Tide are officially TUFF Cup champions. I am here with number 27, Randy Borer. Randy, you had an amazing trick play with a pass to Billy Hudson in the end zone. I really think that was the turning point in this game. How do you feel that swung the momentum?
We called it because we knew they were rushing. They were rushing a lot of guys. They rushed about 3 guys that play, and so I knew Billy was going to be open. I was just reading the outside corner. Once I seen him go in, I just knew Billy was going to be right open.
You had 2 touchdowns on this game. Do you guys practice that?
Yeah, that play, yeah, we do.
Well, that quick snap in the other end zone over there, that was a killer as well. You guys really came together. It looked like the Phantoms were catching you guys by surprise with their speed. How do you feel like that affected your play?
We weren't really worried about it. I mean, it's an offensive game. Everybody's going to score, you know. It's all about getting those 1-2 stops. You get 2 stops, you should be able to win the game.
Well, you guys ended up winning the game big, ended up winning by 3 scores, so congratulations. Go ahead and celebrate with your team.
Thanks, man.
For more on the game, tune into the TUFF Talk Podcast, where me and Danny get real deep into the action. Upcoming on October 14th, we have a whole different monster. The TUFF 9 tournament is back, and it will be more menacing than ever. A 9v9 tournament with minimum roster of 10 and max 18 players. It will be played in Van Nuys, California. Winners will receive a certified TUFF 9 championship t-shirt. If you own one of these shirts, you are definitely not #TuffLight. Speaking of Tough Light, a lot of noise was made out of certain players that Mid-City is superior to Van Nuys. I have heard that the Tide will be merging with the Savages to make a Golden State Warriors level super squad for this tournament. If Van Nuys was really the light version, wouldn't the Tide have merged with perhaps the Ducks? #Ducks Light?
What the hell did you just say?
Ducks Light?
What did you say?
Ducks Light?
Boy, you must be outside your mind.
In all seriousness, the Ducks are truly a contending squad for seasons to come. In the TUFF 9 tournament with running quarterbacks, running backs, and a whole lot more contact, this is a tournament for only the highest level of competition flag football has to offer. Be sure to get into the action on October 14th. And now, looking forward to next season, let's bring on Danny Bascom to discuss the free agents. So I'm ready to talk some free agents. What do you got for us tonight?
I got a lot of stuff here. We're going to really try to fill these teams up with free agents, for both current teams and new teams that want to come in. So if you're a free agent and you're listening, contact us to get on this segment. And every week we're going to bring people, new free agents that are available. So this week I got a couple to start off with. That's
definitely the aim of this segment, is to really bring players and teams together who want to be playing in TUFF but might not know where to start, or potentially are just looking for a new beginning.
Right. And this week I have all players. I have 3 or 4 players on this round, and they've all played in TUFF in the past season, so they're all experienced here. The first one we'll start with is Eddie Morales. He's number 11 for the Pioneers, or was, should I say.
Right.
The Pioneers went 6-2 last season. I'm not quite sure why they're not returning with Morales, but he is a free agent right now.
And he's a good quarterback.
He is. He has a 53% passing completion rate. He's thrown for over 1,700 yards last season. He has 29 passing touchdowns, and he's, I
Only
believe,
9 interceptions, right?
9 interceptions, yeah. So, I mean, only is a word.
Right. I mean, 9 interceptions is a big number and tough, but you see quarterbacks out there with 12, 13, 14 interceptions that are staying with their teams.
Yeah, so Eddie Morales, he has confirmed he is a free agent. He wants to stay in Mid-City, but he's willing to go to Van Nuys. So if there's any Van Nuys teams out there, you know, you might want to pick up this guy if you're in need of a quarterback. He wants to stay in Spartan, but he will go to Titan. So Van Nuys Titan teams, it's up for the grabs.
I'm not sure if he could hack it in Titan personally, but I think that if he gets on a team that can start to gel together, maybe the Bandits are looking for a new quarterback.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see what happens there.
Yeah, and so if you're watching Eddie Morales, we pulled up all his clips, and he's definitely available. So that's my first free agent. Secondly, I have a duo. Now, these guys are close friends, so it is a package deal. They want to stay together. So if you're a team and you need a couple guys, this might be a good acquisition. It's Drew Lopez and Alex Vargas. These guys were on the Copperheads in Mid-City Spartan, and then halfway through the season, as you know, that the Copperheads disbanded, and those two guys went to the Luck to finish their season out.
Both talented wide receivers. Now, there is a team in the Swordfish currently looking for 2 cornerbacks. Not sure if, these two would be willing to transition to defense.
They're looking for cornerbacks?
Yeah, they're definitely looking for cornerbacks. I confirmed that with their leader, Jonathan Caker.
Yeah, Alex Vargas, he is a wide receiver. He can play defense. He's a pretty dependable receiver. He's got, I believe, 19 catches for 230 yards on the season and 5 touchdowns between the Copperheads and the Luck. So he's a pretty solid receiver. Drew Lopez is a center, right. And he can be a rusher too. So he's himself has 15 catches for 190 yards. He's got 1 touchdown and 2 interceptions on the season. So
you could put Vargas on defense at cornerback and then paired Lopez with Nicholson on that Swordfish team. That would be dominant.
That would be a good deal. Yeah, I could definitely see that happening. So these guys are looking to stick together. They want to stay in Mid-City. They also prefer Spartan, but will go to Titan. So it's definitely open up. If you need 2 guys, these guys are really dependable. I know them. They're always at the games. They rarely miss a game. I think Alex Vargas missed 1 game this season, and that's because his wife was having a baby.
That's an acceptable excuse.
Yeah, we'll give him that. And so these guys are dependable. So if you need a duo, contact us, and we'll put you in touch with Alex Vargas and Drew Lopez.
Absolutely.
And finally, we have a good one here. Now, it is Rick Conti. But there is a good and bad to this deal. Rick Conti is not a free agent. I'll let that be known right now. There was a lot of confusion, but he did sign a 3-season contract with the War Eagles. Now, he is obligated to play with them until his contract is up. But if the War Eagles do not want him, the only way he can get out of that is by starting his own team. And for those of you who don't know, Rick Conti, the Sharks are his franchise. They weren't in last season,
right.
But he's looking to bring that team back. So if there's free agents out there and know they want to get on a solid Mid-City Titan team, hit up Rick Conti and get those Sharks back into play.
Rick Conti's an amazing quarterback. We saw him get to the playoffs with the War Eagles this season. It came down to one play at the end, but they could have definitely gone all the way. Rick Conti is a solid quarterback and a solid leader.
Yeah, he's got a 66% passing completion rate, over 2,500 yards thrown, 41 touchdowns this season. He also has 9 interceptions, though, same as Morales.
Right.
But he has those in the Titan division as opposed to Morales in the Spartan.
Right, and that's a big difference. So we look forward to seeing all these players next season. We also look forward to bringing you more free agency talk.
Right, every week we'll be bringing them in. So if you're a free agent, every total access, we're going to do this quick speed round and get these guys out there, as well as talk more about them on the podcast, let them know who's been picked up over the week and whatnot. So we'll be covering all free agent talk for sure.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight, Danny.
Thank you.
Have a good night. Next season is only a month away and begins October 29th. Stay with Tough League TV all offseason for more free agents and reckless speculation of what's to come. For this episode of Tough Total Access, I'm Steven Dolan. Have a great week.